So, how do you turn all this information you've been collecting into a money-making skill set? I think this is such an important topic. Let's dive right into it. So what is a skill set? That is where you want to take the information you've been learning, whether that's been through podcasts, YouTube channels, and content like this, books, seminars, courses, you name it. However, you've been, digesting the information, and then you're turning it into something that you can literally go and take action on and repeatedly do. Okay. For example, it's a very big difference if you know about foreclosures or if you know how to actually stop a foreclosure, right? So, knowing a lot of information about a foreclosure versus being able to talk to a seller, find a seller in foreclosure, help them stop the foreclosure, all those things, right? So keep in mind, knowing and going and actually doing, two separate things. And so you want to be able to bridge the gap between knowing and doing, and that is where all the magic happens, my friends. So let's jump into it. One of the first things I'm going to suggest, and this is something that's overlooked, but find a way to earn while you learn. What do I mean by that? I always tell people, especially if you're not ready to do real estate full time, and let's just say you don't have a W 2 job that you absolutely love and are committed to, if you're open to getting a W 2 job in the real estate industry, do so. For example, if you want to become a landlord and you absolutely want to grow a portfolio, but you're not ready to do this full time, you still need to make today money. Well, go work for a property management company. My God, when I worked for it, I learned so much. That was baptism by fire. It made the thought of managing my own properties so much easier because I put in the repetitions and I got paid to do so. Obviously, it's not 100%, maybe the same, but if you can get close enough, for example, if you want to flip houses, go work at a construction site, right? Go work in that field and get paid to learn the skills that you could apply to what you want to do. It may look like an internship. Now, those aren't always so easy in the real estate world, but this may carry on to some other places. Um, but easily a job in the field or a mentorship slash a joint venture. For example, folks who are looking to get into wholesaling, I always say, hey, learn how to talk to sellers and then joint venture with an established wholesaler in the area who knows how to properly dispo a deal and let them bring the buyer to your deal. So all you have to worry about is finding the sellers. They can help you. And if they're the right collaborative person, like we do in New Orleans, we will help you underwrite the deal. We'll help you with the contract. We'll say, hey, go lock it up at this number. We're confident we have buyers on the back end, all of that stuff. So find ways to earn while you learn. Okay. Now, let me put a disclaimer out there that you also don't want to just keep learning if you're pushing. Well, don't keep learning if you're pushing past and passing up instruction. What do I mean by that? Let's just say you take a course and it is information on foreclosures and it teaches you how to go find foreclosures like on public record and how to have the first conversation with them. If you're not stopping and going and putting that information into action, and let's just say they're saying, hey, they're challenging you to, for example, go contact 5 people who are facing foreclosure and practice those conversations. If you just hear that and you keep passing it up, what's the point in you continuing to learn? Are you just hoarding that information? You want to be careful and not do that. And so if you're passing up instruction and not actually stopping in the learning and taking action, there's not much that I can say to you other than you need to address that problem. Everything else, not a problem. Your biggest problem is action. And so until you're ready to commit to go take action, this is huge. Now, let me address something. In the world of success and people who get results, there is a level that you have to be okay with, a level of ambiguity. What do I mean by that? in your education and you learning and all that, learn steps 1, 2, and 3, but do not get caught on step 7 or step 20. I see investors do this all the time. They start learning how to talk to sellers, they start learning how to run numbers on properties, how to make offers, but then they're so caught up on what their entity structure will be, their process for managing tenants before they even own a property. Again, they're on step 7, 18, 25. Learn steps 1, 2, 3, 4. Go take action on steps 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when you get there at step, 3 and 4, learn the next steps along the way. Don't get so caught up learning all those other things, okay? Super important. Most of the time, I have learned that it is not a knowledge problem, it is an action problem. And so you've got to self diagnose if that's your issue. And I'll be very honest, for those who are addicted to learning, I can be at fault here. You've got to place in boundaries. And these boundaries may mean, you know what, Courtney, I have learned enough. I am not attending another conference, another workshop, another course until I do X, until I make 5 offers, until I sell this one property, until I go talk to some lenders that I've been putting off, whatever that may be. Know when to put in boundaries, because if you can't police yourself, I mean, no one on YouTube's going to police you. A lot of times when you're in, attending a conference and stuff like that, they're not going to police you. And so bring some own accountability. Maybe even find an accountability partner. That's huge. All right. So that's important, guys. Stop passing up instruction and know when to pump the brakes and go do the damn work. And then, so what does instruction look like? That's usually going to be, I'm going to encourage you towards revenue generating activities. On my board, I have literally revenue generating activities. Talk to motivated sellers, go on appointments with said motivated sellers. So walk those houses, underwrite. So run the numbers and make offers and follow up. And then I also have networking and branding/content, because that's a big part of my marketing. Literally, those are the things that make me money. If I can routinely do those things, the business is growing, the business is making money. So I want to encourage you, focus on revenue. If you spend all your time on your logo, things that don't generate revenue, like your logo, your website. I mean, sometimes websites can be for that. Everything that is a supplementary to that, right? Like your business name, your logo, your website, maybe the some of the processes and things like that. Do those as quickly as possible and spend the majority of your time on revenue generating activities. Now, as you start putting in those reps, right? You start talking to sellers, you start walking houses, you start running numbers, start making offers, following up, and all of that good stuff. Keep practicing, put in the reps. And I want to encourage you, maybe if you're, let's just say you're stalling because you're most afraid to talk to sellers. Well, then go ahead and practice, do some scripts with some friends. Go to your local real estate investor meetup, find some local like-minded folks and say, hey, do you mind if we practice talking to sellers together? Whether that's, hey, can I go on an appointment with you and hear how you talk to a seller? Can, whatever that looks like, right? Like, let's role play. Okay. And then when you're out there taking action, don't be afraid. This is one of my favorite things that I learned from John Schaub. He's the author of my favorite real estate book, Building Wealth One House at a Time. And John said this. He said, when you do a deal, take a step back and say, what did I do well? What did I not do well? And then basically course correct and improve and get some feedback, right? And then, improve your approach for the next time and then go back to bat and keep putting in the reps. And then guys, just rinse and repeat. So if you love learning, look for instruction. If you are trying to make it in this business, look for instruction. Don't pass it up. When someone says, hey, this is how you go do this, then say, okay, let me go do that. Especially if that is, critical for you to be able to do the thing you're trying to do. So don't pass up instruction. Know when to place boundaries. Go after the revenue generating activities. All the other stuff, try to do that as quickly as possible so you can focus on the main thing. And let me just be honest, you guys, I can't teach action. Like that's one of those things where, I mean, I can teach you everything about real estate, but at the end of the day, I can encourage you towards some accountability. I can encourage you toward boundaries. I can encourage you towards revenue generating activities, right? I can encourage you towards, maybe it's accountability partners or whatever all those things are. But at the end of the day, you've got to step up and say, I've got to be my biggest advocate and I've got to kick my own ass into gear and get things rolling. All right, guys, another day, another video. Appreciate you. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already.